So far only mine and Brent's webcam is up, but we have everybody on except for Smitty so far. Of course, we'd love to have Smitty on, so ideally he'll be here. But otherwise, we have everybody on. It's going to be an awesome day. We have an Annihilation report from Michael coming in. We're going to have an in-depth one on, thank you so much, that's perfect, on Baltimore. He's returning from Baltimore. So we're really excited to have Michael here. Michael's also here with Gary. Gary's going to give his Annihilation report as well. He finished one match short of making the day 2 cut, and also ran down to pro on his way out. So that was great. Good to take somebody with you. So we're going to hear from Gary as well. Smitty is on, which of course makes things really special for me. We're also probably going to be joined by Michael and Spears. Those of you who know him from OMG, he's picking up Magic, and he's going to be talking actually about World of Warcraft. He was talking with Bryn earlier, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. I think that's going to be something that we're going to add to the repertoire. Let me do something else. Just close this door over here. Okay, so let's start with great news. We have Gary's actually on, so I want to start with the Lord's Prayer, especially for Gary and for everybody who's here, and we'll start with that, and then we'll go from there. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. If I ever get lost, it's because I'm always thinking about what I'm saying. It's very interesting to me. One of those things. Let me try to get this door closed over here. Okay. We have some awesome show prep for today. It is going to be an exciting one. The backbone of the show we're going to begin with is Michael Freeman's Annihilation report. So we're going to be super excited to hear about Michael's SCG con performance. He made day 2. He did indeed get one of the foil Spider-Man, so that was super cool. Had great preparation and had a terrific performance at the event. We're going to find out a lot from Michael. He was there with Gary, so super excited to have Michael and Gary here. They both had a terrific performance. Congratulations, guys. Super excited to talk to you guys. Super fired up. We're also going to be getting into more about the current standard metagame. I've got a great deck. I think everyone's going to really love it. Batman, Bzka. It's going to be a lot of fun for everybody, and I think it'll kind of immediately join the top decks. And then when I expect that when the rotation happens, when the bannings happen, November 10th, which is about a week away, then I expect it to really evolve to maybe the #1 deck or one of the top decks. And it's going to show some concepts. I had a great talk with David Mills this week about Magic, and so we'll be able to talk about Jackal and Drenith a little bit, and so that will be cool. A big show today, and like I said, if we have time, if Michael Spears is able to join us, then we'll even talk a little bit about World of Warcraft. Michael's been playing World of Warcraft for years, and I wanted to have some different games for us to play together as a team. We'll also get into Dota 2 at some point here, and some other games that we'll look at. Maybe Dungeons and Dragons Online a little bit. David and I played quite a bit of that. So we'll see. We'll take it a few different places. But today should be a big, exciting show. So let me do this. I'm going to pull up my screen right now, and let's update Michael's deck, because I know he threw a couple Spider-Mans in at the very end. So we want to get his deck up to date. So the deck's here. Really exciting about what, just discard that, what getting this Annihilation report is going to be rich with all kinds of footholds for us to use, for us to gain and understand off of. I don't know, did you guys go back to playing a dragon? I just pulled this up from what Smitty had. Smitty may have been messing around with different builds as well. So what modifications from this build that you're seeing did you ultimately run in Baltimore? Congratulations on your performance, and let's go through your event.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, we did run one dragon, which was pretty good. We wanted to put something spicy in it, so we threw the Spider-Mans. I think we were kind of worried about the blue-black matchup, although I'm pretty sure, like, I only saw it once. I think
Mhm.
Gary maybe seen it twice, but the Spider-Man really helped, when we did play that game. Uh, so we took out one shock,
Mhm.
we took out one slick shot, we dropped the shelters by one, and we upped a needlekin.
Okay, great. So we played two of these guys,
Yes.
dropped one shock out, and then what else did we do?
One slick shot,
Okay,
one sheltered,
okay.
and we added a razorkin needlehead.
So you had three needleheads.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Eh,
Okay, and then sideboard, was it the same or did you make some changes?
The sideboard, let's pull it up. We had three authorities of councils,
Three.
two get lost. We only ended up running two rest in peace. I don't think me or Gary saw the graveyard deck at all. I didn't play it at all, not
Did
even
you
once.
did you ever test the sideboarding rest in peace against Vivi?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was kind of underwhelming. I think
Okay.
we just wanted to pressure it more. I think
Yeah.
our main deck is so good against Vivi that
Yeah.
like I I only lost to Vivi one time, and it was
Wow.
on camera, and it was like a prowess version of it that was just much different. And I mean,
Hmm.
he hit three flood to the maws on me, I think both games. So it
Oh
was like,
wow.
yeah, he just drew, perfect. I drew pretty rough both of those games. I'm pretty sure they're on YouTube. You can watch them if you'd like. Uh, but yeah, it was like
Yeah, it was
every other
one of the
Vivi
deeper
matchup I
matches
played against.
Michael's
Huh?
alluding to.
Yeah, the
Um,
Yeah.
second game especially, he drew kind of the nuts.
Yeah, he drew the
oh,
nuts.
right. Smitty was there to watch it. And also, Smitty, in a way, it's not even bad to have Smitty a little bit lead this Annihilation report. I was actually thinking about that leading into the show because Smitty did do so much preparation one-on-one with Michael and with Gary, and he was very attentive during. I was involved and paying attention for sure, as you guys know. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
Smitty,
yeah. I
you
definitely
really,
appreciate that, Smitty, again.
Yeah, that
We're
was
back
big.
at it, man. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
oh, what was that, Gary?
A quick note. Um, the thing about so as predicted, Vivi's overall attendance was down by 17% of the field. Um, they didn't play as much blue green, and they did play a fair amount of Reanimator, a bunch of which made day two, but none performed particularly well. So they were just
Yeah.
getting stomped down by Vivi. I think the best one was like 10-5. Okay, I'll shut up now. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
No.
I
want
want
you
to
shut
add
up.
something really quick before we move
Yeah, Gary.
forward. But the funny thing is when me and Mike were sitting down preparing for, like, waiting for the tournament to start, the guy that topped 8 with the Simic deck was sleeving up at the last minute. and
Great.
and I asked him about it. I was like, "So Audible?" And he's like, "No, I just needed to get the cards at the last minute." So the
Oh,
guy that
that's
topped 8 with
great.
the Simic list, he was like sitting right next to us sleeving up.
Oh yeah, and of course that was a deck list that you were extremely familiar with from all of
Right.
our testing. Awesome, awesome, Gary. And again, we're super excited that everything's going well for you. So Smitty, why don't you go ahead and lead this Annihilation report and lead Michael through, his kind of recollection of day one and day two, and I'll just, of course, I'll be here. I'll ask some questions here and there, but I mainly want to give Smitty the opportunity to kind of lead this.
Yeah, the big surprise for me was how much mono red still showed up. It was, I think, the second most played deck. And I wasn't super surprised by Demir showing up as much as it did, because people have been playing it, they're familiar with it, they want to take their deck. And yeah, the mono red that won it is very interesting. Like Leyline, as Theory and I discussed at length, is a
Well, and Michael actually followed up. He has a bunch of science. Actually, that's one of the things that we really need to do. I don't know why I kind of drove past that, but we can kind of a little bit have a second part to Michael's Annihilation report where, because Michael's got a lot of science now on that mouse deck. He's tested it extensively since then. So he can really give us a bunch of information. So let's do it this way. Michael, why don't you go through and just talk about the rounds and the matchups, and then I'll lead Smitty to the questions, and then I'll just come in at the end and ask Michael about the mouse deck and what he learned about that as well. So Michael will go through matchups, and then Smitty will lead questions.
Yeah, is something going on with the webcams? I can't see anybody. I think it says like they're hidden. I can't see your screen at all
They're
anymore either.
mostly on. Lawrence is on. Theory is on. Bryn's on. Yours is on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Smitty doesn't typically have his on. Mine isn't currently on, but I'm listening.
yeah, I can't see anything actually on my thing.
Yeah, you're appearing. We can see you loud and clear, as it were.
Okay. All right. So I'll just talk about like the matchups. So I played a lot of Vivi, basically going into this thing. Um, I think I played maybe 5 or 6 matchups on day one of like normal Vivi, besides the one that I played when I was on camera. And our deck is just great against that deck. I mean, we blow it out. It's like game one seems okay. It seems about 50-50. And I went to game three every single matchup that I played except for the one on camera, and I just would like crush them on game every single time. Um, I ended up bringing in the voice of victory as well in that matchup because, um, without them sacrificing an enchantment to deal 3 damage with their 1 mana removal, the red removal, it was really hard for them to get Voice of Victory off the board. And then when you pair up the Voice of Victory with the High Noon, it's like, you just completely lock them out of the game. They get to cast one spell during their turn, and that is it. And if they can't deal with that, it's pretty much game over right then and there. I had a really close game with Blue Black. I think we went to game three. I ended up killing him. He had me at like 3 life. The Blue Black matchup's funny because when you play online, on Arena, a lot of people are playing the bat. When we went to Baltimore, everybody was off the bat and nobody was playing the bat. So it's like that I felt like was the best card against us. So when you took that out of the equation and we added the Spectacular Spider-Man, it really helped us where we're able to just flash that thing in at the end of turn. Um, and really cause them some problems when they're trying to kill our guys. We're saving our screaming nemesis and flashing in a guy that can fly over top of a lot of these threats that people are putting on the ground. um, it was just different. It was quite shocking for a lot of people to have to deal with that card. I got deck checked and the judges called me to like come behind the curtains. And they honestly, I feel like they called me behind the curtains just to like ask me why I had the Spider-Man in the deck. They seen some decks like ours, but never with the Spectacular Spider-Man in it. But after playing through that tournament, Gary and I, we kind of realized that the Spectacular Spider-Man is a good card in the sideboard, but it's not really a main deck kind of card for it. I think we just wanted to up the creature count in our deck because what we were finding is that we would have these hands where we would have a lot of burn. And then, like, if we're not drawing into creatures, it's really hard for us to keep the pressure on our opponents. Um, and especially if we don't have any guys on the board, like, if we don't have any guys on the board and we have burn in our hand and we're drawing into either more burn once we run out of it or lands, it's like extremely underwhelming. And it was just really hard. So we upped the creature count a little bit and, you know, gave it a go. I think that if I could have tweaked the deck one more time, probably, I would have did a little bit better, but I'm still pretty happy with the overall. And I know you guys can't see, I can't see you, but you can see me. And I
Yeah, we
brought
can
this
see
guy
that.
home.
Oh yeah,
Awesome,
he's holding
which
a
Yeah, I
surprise.
see you, Mike.
uh,
Um,
super excited. Uh, this guy came in the mail from Orlando also.
Very nice.
Really happy with the deck. I think so I'm definitely locked in to go to Atlanta in January. I'm not set like on a deck. Obviously Avatar is going to come out, but I think what I'm going to do for that tournament is do some extensive testing with you guys, and I'm pretty sure I'm just going to go with whatever deck we feel as a group is the strongest deck. Um,
Sure.
so I'm not just going to take Boros because I have the cards. Like I'm just going to purchase whatever we think the strongest deck at that time is and
Blue green.
test my luck.
Yeah, I think that there's a good chance that you're going to have 4 jackals in your deck. Luckily, I've got plenty of them if you need to borrow some. I'm actually
Awesome.
opening mail right now. What is this? Is this jackals? See what this is. Let's find out. Nah, exalted sunborn. You need to get a few of those before the price goes up on.
yeah, Mike, I got your cards too from David.
Oh, from David, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
sign those. We need to organize to get together. Definitely should be a good experience getting together. Yeah. So first of all, just terrific, rich earnings report that we get here from Michael. He's coming in from a tournament in Baltimore, Maryland, that he attended in person with another member of our team, Gary, and did tremendously well. Finished in the top 64. Got one of the highly coveted Spider-Man special promo foil cards. So that was super cool. And then we just get this rich Annihilation report from him. And so much of David Mill's plan with Magic is focus on the things that you can know and really try to dig in deep and try to really understand. And we gain so much richness hearing from Michael, hearing his accounts from the event, where he felt like things were. By the way, let's kind of finish things out. As of today, what would the deck list be for this deck? I'll pull it back up on the screen. What would you
Yeah, I
change?
can't. Oh, okay. So in the current deck list, I would take the 2 Spider-Mans out.
Mm-hmm.
I would add another shelter to the ghost.
Agree.
And I would add another Ember Heart, and I would run it like that.
Yeah, another thing, guys, is I actually had to face Benji Leaf, the Boros Mice deck, in my first 9 rounds. I had to face Benji in round 7, so I actually had to fight against the Boros Mice deck that ended up top 8ing. To be honest, I'm looking at my my list on Melee, and even though I didn't make day 2, I'm still happy because I had to play a guy that topped 8 an Eternal Weekend 2 years ago. Another dude who's done Vintage 40 with 90, 94, 95. And then I had to face against Ollie Antrazi. So it's like my 9 rounds were stacked, and to be able to beat all 3 of those players in my 9 rounds, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, you did a great job. Congratulations, guys. And also, great keeping your head up. What a great activity to do. I know that you had to deal with the surgery, so it was kind of a great activity to do, just mentally to get out of the house, not be thinking about it all the time and stuff like that, and then you find out you're fine anyway.
The other thing is Mike got to watch my winning in, and that even the judges were surprised. I mean, it was real magic. Like, there was so much interaction. It wasn't one-sided, and I was so close. I mean, if I
Yeah.
just like top decked a Boros charm, I would have just won. But it was
Nice.
like 2 higher
Yeah.
claws on my side, dealing 2
Yep.
damage each turn, and then she's dealing 3 damage with the lifelink
Yeah.
vampire, and it was just so close.
Yeah. Race to the
I
finish.
think it was like, yeah, for Gary, it was like, it's funny. You see a lot of these guys play these that are per se like a bad matchup, like a blue black versus like our deck. And that's probably, one of our worst matchups. And it's like
And she had the
she
bat.
was in a place, yeah, she was in a place where like a lot of people would have just given up. They would have just scooped up their cards and moved on. But like Gary just played super tight and he got everything he could out of it and literally came to a point where he could have won that game deck. And it was
Yeah.
really
Good job
impressive
by
to
them.
watch.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
And stuff like this, I gotta tell you guys, how you do the little things is how you do everything. One of the best ways, throughout the tournament, I kept, kind of haranguing Gary and Michael, and then Michael to, be counting cards, staying on top of their own card count and their opponent's card count, and of course, be, really, really thoroughly shuffling. And it's not that those things are magical in and of themselves. Of course, they're good to do, but however much you guys did do some extra shuffling and some extra card counting, Michael, Gary, did it help you with mindfulness and help you just notice things and pay more attention?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when you're that aware of the situation at hand, it's like you're able to just make some plays, some smooth plays, and yeah, it really makes a difference. It really does make a difference. But it was funny because day two, I think I just had like probably the worst draws I've ever had on like but Magic's a funny game and it's not always like, good to you. So
Well, and I'll
sometimes,
tell
it can be a
you,
cruel game too,
one of the things
where
with the
you,
Burrows deck is it's definitely more of a draw dependent deck than some other decks that we have. The deck that I'll be showing you today is literally, I think it's all creatures. I think it's literally 40 creatures. So you're gonna draw creatures.
yeah,
And in that way is less draw dependent. Now, what you get out of this deck is you get a really high ceiling, and you can reach that high ceiling a number of different ways. It's very nice. It's very hard to keep this deck off your back. I think
yeah.
in our experience of it, and I think it put Michael in an especially good position to understand that this more Boros mouse deck. So let me do this. Let me just make a copy of Michael's Boros deck here, and let's turn this into the mouse deck and discuss that with Michael and his science. So this is a deck that made top eight. What version of it would you tell me what cards to change in and out, Michael? I'll throw out the
Um,
cards. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, let me pull up the mouse deck real quick.
Or
Yeah,
cheeky.
while he's doing that, I just wanted to say that
Actually,
the Spider-Man did come in clutch against Vivi, because one thing about Spider-Man, it doesn't just add indestructibility, it adds hexproof. So
Mm-hmm.
my opponent tried to Into the Flood Maul my Screaming Nemesis as I
Mm-hmm.
was swinging, and then this is my matchup that I'm facing Vivi, and so he tries to Into the Flood Maul. I think he's at like 5 life or something like that, and he wants to get rid of it. So I made Spider-Man have flying and swung in with both of them, and he's like, "Well, let me flood them all, the the Screaming Nemesis," and I was like, "No." So I sacrificed Spider-Man to protect the Screaming Nemesis, and now the Screaming Nemesis is coming into the VV, and he's like, "Do I block or do I not block?" And Into the Flood Maul puts 2 counters on VV, and then he blocks, so I end up killing his VV, and then like I probably could have like there was more ways of like how to like get him off the board, but I definitely needed to because of the harmonize with all the drawing stuff. So it's like, as much as I wanted to hit him with the face with the Screaming Nemesis damage, I couldn't afford for his VV to stay on the field. And then he drew a Mako, and then did the harmonized thing, the draw 3 cards, and then on the stack I Lightning Helixed it, and then I just ran him over at the end. And then that's how I won my game 3 against Vivi. But Spider-Man does come in clutch, giving all of our guys hexproof as well as indestructibility. But that's it,
Nice,
though. I wanted to put that as the final thing for the Boros stack before we
nice,
move on to the mice.
Hey,
great.
All right.
Gary, did
Yeah.
you run off 4 runs in a row to stay in contention?
Yeah, so what happened? So
You
going
go.
back, like we'll go to this story really quick because it's like I literally
This is
lost. I
great.
went
I want to
0-2.
get more on Gary's Annihilation work. Gary
Yeah.
moved down several pros. He had a great event. Let's go for this. And Smitty, that's kind of why I wanted Smitty a little bit to lead the Annihilation report to make sure we kind of get the whole thing out. Go ahead, Gary.
Oh, the funny thing was I was 0-2 and both my opponents 2-0'd me, and I was at a point where I was like, what's going on? Like the deck is just not performing. My opponents are just steamrolling me, and Mike's like, he's like, Gary, we don't get to play that much Magic at this level, so you should just play. And at that time I was like letting it resonate with me. So instead of like 0-2 drop like some people would do, I'm like, you know what, I'll just stay in. And then I went against 4 people, and the funny thing is it was Demir mid range. I think it was red. Let me see really quick. It was Demir mid range, mono red, Is It Cauldron, and I beat all that in a row. So I actually faced Demir mid range 3 times that day, and Aliantrazi was on a 5-color control deck. So he took the Jeskai Black and added green for Cornucopia. So Cornucopia is a 3-drop mana rock. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain life equal to the number of colors it is. So you gain 7 when you played Jeskai Revelation. So the fact that I beat Aliantrazi on 5-color control with all that life gain, like that was the match. It felt like that was the winning in match, even though it wasn't the winning in match.
Wow. Great job, though. Great job, man.
Yeah.
And that is a great experience. And again, like I said, this idea, how you do little things, it's how you do everything. And I just really appreciate Michael's advice too. I think it was terrific advice. It was, we've talked a little bit about, getting into David Mills' law of implication stuff. But again, there was a hint of that in there because, you know, the type of advice that he's giving, he's not like saying, like, oh, you give it a shot for the Gipper or do it for somebody else, do it for the team. Like he's saying, like, this is Michael saying to you, this is an opportunity that's in front of you, and irregardless of whether you're going 2 or 2-0, or irregardless, you're getting an opportunity here, and that would, on any given day, you would know that was a good opportunity and you would hop to it. I know that about you, and clearly you don't feel any way right now. I totally get that, right? And hey, guys, at the time, Michael was probably 2-0. So so, and he could have been stomping around and saying, oh, I'm the man and stuff like that, or kind of been in his zone, but still was both kindly but also wisely looking out for things with Gary when he gave Gary that advice, because anyway, it's a very valuable type of thing to do, because he's pointing out, like, there's certain things, like if I talked to myself when I was 16 and was able to convey to myself at 16 what my life is like now, I wouldn't have worried so much, right? And I really try to remind myself of that kind of at every event, because of course I can feel buffeted by the world just like anybody else can. So it's just really tremendous advice, and it's great that it stayed with you, Gary. It's great that because we notice that these things, and it's not that, one time I saw this kind of adult giving this kid, like a Hibachi or something like that, this little kid who wanted to play football, this advice, like, don't change who you are or whatever. I'm like, what does that mean? I wasn't trying to be mean, but I was like, what does that mean? You know, like there's so many ways to interpret that. Like, I just didn't know what he meant myself, you know, like what, like maybe sometimes he should, maybe he's going to be a horrible ass and he should change. I don't know, you know, what does that mean? So when we can get advice that's succinct, or give advice that's succinct, that is the right thing, right, to ourselves or to others. You know, I was playing this Batman Bzka deck, and I was just matching theory, just beating the tar out of people. And I was just like, it was just plain as day obvious that he was going to be abusing people with it pretty soon. And so I put that, you know, in the group chat. And it's the type of thing I like to put out there, not just like, wow, this is a cool deck. I mean, of course, I think it's something I think is cool, but the more specific we can be, and anyways, it's just very targeted. It's very helpful. And also, it wasn't that Michael said, hey, Gary, you know, you might catch lucky matchups. Go ahead and play, because he didn't catch lucky matchups. Neither the players he was going to play against, nor the decks that he was going to play against were good. They were bad. He had to play against hard players, playing against hard decks, right? But he kept his head, and he got so much more out of the event. So much more out of the event than, like, and again, considering the alternative, it's just sort of absurd. Like, what does he do? Just rage quit? Just go, you know, take an Uber back to the B&B and sulk? Or is that even open at this point? Probably not. Or, I mean, I guess it is. But then Michael's kind of wandering around. Would Michael then have made day two? Wouldn't know. You know, it wasn't set in the stars that Michael was going to make day two. Maybe Gary hanging in, you know, gave Michael a lot of belief in himself, and gave him more matchup advice, and really helped, you know, fill it in his sail. So anyways, we really, I really want you to know things, because we're so often told to care about things that we don't have very much power over, or like everyone needs to do this or that, you know, when you're just kind of powerless in a situation. If you just imagine that you're a cog in a big machine, right? And you're told, like, oh, just go and fight the power wherever you are. No, you're just going to get fired. You're just going to be a troublemaker. People aren't going to like you. It just doesn't make sense, you know. Like, you know, there's the guy in Tiananmen Square standing in front of the tank with his jacket, and it's evocative. It is powerful to me. But it'd be great to do things a different way if possible, wherever possible. I'm not against that, of course. It's great that he got photographed. Otherwise, I'm sure his actions would have been forgotten. Anyways, so great with that. Gary, let's continue. We're getting so much out of your Annihilation report, in terms of matchups that you played, and what you learned about your Boros deck, and what you learned about the field, playing in general.
Yeah, so anyways, yeah, like the reason me and Mike scouted out Friday for like the last chance like qualifiers for our season stuff, and that's what we did see a lot of red, and that's what pushed us to put in that third authority to consoles. But I mean, like, you can play authority to console, and red can still beat you. So I mean, like, yes, it pushes you up in like a better winning chance, but just because you slam it down doesn't mean that they can't just come back and just destroy you. So I played some pretty strong red players, and like being a person who mainly plays red, you know, I can commend them. And then, like I said, that Boros Mice deck, going back to Benji's list, it's like that deck was fast. I mean, we're talking they play the one drop mouse,
That's
the
a good
white
way to
mouse
segue.
into manifold
I pulled
mouse.
it up on the screen.
Yeah.
Let's get this list together. So I've got the Cheeky House Mouse, the Flowerfoot Swordmaster. What else
Yep.
they got in there?
Which looks goofy as shit, but it's actually good.
Yeah, of course.
So the
those
manifold
15 nights.
mouses.
What's that?
Manifold mouse.
Yeah.
I think they only had 2 nemesis.
Okay.
Let me see really quick since I
What
faced
other
him.
creatures? Surely they had more creatures. They had that gold
Stadium
mouse.
Headliner. They had Stadium Headliner. Or no, that's the wrong deck. I'm sorry.
Do they have lizard?
Not for the mouse deck. I'm getting ready to pull it up right now.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find my.
I got it right in front of me.
Okay,
So
yeah, read it off.
you're looking at 4 Cheeky House Mouse, 4 Ember Heart, 4 of the Flowerfoot Swordmaster, 4 Manifold Mouse, excuse me, 4 Screaming Nemesis,
Oh, I was wrong.
and 2 Valley Quest Caller.
Yeah, I was mixing it up with the other red deck that made top 8. I'm sorry.
The instants are going to be 4 Burst Lightnings, 4 Lightning Helix, and 2 Dreadmaw Ire.
What's a Valiant Quest called? Oh, is it the
What was
rabbit?
it?
It's the white card.
The rabbit.
The
Yeah,
two.
the rabbit that adds your guys
Yeah, that
plus
makes
1.
sense. How many of them do
That
they have?
card's strong.
Yeah, I love it. How many do
I
they
think
have?
the best part about this deck is the ability to play a card, pay an extra 2, and get an extra creature that does the same exact thing.
Yeah,
That
we've been doing a lot of testing with Offspring, and it's really come into its own.
so
Remember, a
powerful.
lot of times when a set will come out, it doesn't, the cards don't have the proper backing, and we'll evaluate those cards, and they won't be very good in the current meta. And it's not because we don't test them. We tested all these cards in that meta. It's just now things have changed so much. So many new cards have come in, cards have gone out. How many quest callers did they have, Michael?
2.
They had 2.
Okay, great. And then did they have 4 shelters?
4 Shelters
Okay. What
and
other,
2 Shard Mages Rescue.
yes,
Yeah, that was a card that definitely
yeah, gotcha. Any shocks or burst lightning?
Yeah, 4 Burst Lightning, no shocks.
Okay, Helix?
Yeah, 4 Helix, no
Okay.
Boros Charm.
Dreadmall's Ire, you have that one in there.
How many?
Yeah, he had
Two.
2.
Okay.
The funny
And then
thing is Mike was actually talking to the kid on Friday because the kid was in an uncut sheet and he loses the finals, so he went technically 16-5 with the deck over the weekend.
Wow. That's
The
really
Yeah.
kid
good.
was impressive. He was
Yeah,
Really
so
good.
good with the
because
deck.
Mike was literally, he's like, "Yo, Gary, look at this deck," and he's like, "We're looking at the Boros deck, but it's mice," and he's like, "This guy's on fire," and when you know it, and then I like run into him in round
Wow.
7.
Yeah, and it would have been crazy to auto this. I mean, this deck is pretty impressive.
Yeah, there was
What
no
was the
lane
land
lines.
situation?
There
What's
was
their
0
land?
ley lines. The land situation was 4 of each of the double lands, like are in there now.
Mhm.
He had 3 plains, 2 mountains,
3
Okay.
rock face villages.
yep,
Oh, really?
Yeah, but the tech though is he put the tech is he put 2 copies of the Boros Manlian in that deck as well, the Reckless Biowac.
which
That's
is
a
Good.
amazing. So smart.
Yeah, because it's like after a board wipe from control. I mean, it's attacking that turn if you don't have a nemesis.
So
Well,
what did he have? Restless Bioact?
Yeah, he
yeah,
had 2 copies of that.
I think the best part about that is like you can activate it, play an Ember Heart, attack, you get to put a
Target.
counter on your Ember
Yeah,
Heart, and then you get card advantage off of that as well.
correct.
Okay. So
I can't tell you how many times I've actually
too
burst
many
lightning my
cards.
Ember Heart for extra cards
All
and a
right, here,
prowess trigger.
let me let you look. Let me let you look at this list. I've got too many cards in here. Wait, he had
Yeah,
ley
you
lines,
got
Take the ley
right?
take
lines
no
out.
He
0
Take the
ley
didn't
ley
have
lines.
ley
lines out.
lines?
No, 0 ley lines.
I thought you guys were talking all day about ley lines. Why are we?
No, that was the other deck.
I was confabulating it. It's my fault. I was confabulating with the mono red deck.
Oh, okay, all right. So what's I'm still missing one card
Missing one.
Rockface Village.
here. How many? 3?
Yeah, three rock face villages.
There you are.
Let's put the
There you
little
go.
cheeky house mouse so we definitely know which one this is. Mouse. That board. Okay.
So
I
weird.
had a lot of fun with this deck, but I feel like it's really bad against blue black. I mean, really bad against that deck.
Right, they're
It's
gonna really
like
own you.
even worse than ours, yeah.
I want to know what his rounds were. Like, I want to know like what decks he faced. Like, it shows what decks I faced, but I'm like trying to like look at his run.
Yeah.
If you want to know things like that, there's this guy named Bren who's really good at research, and he sent me like 8 videos, and I'm really bad at technology, so I couldn't figure out how to share them all. With timestamps of each match of these guys that were top 25. So yeah, don't shake your head, dude. That was amazing amount of work. And
Yeah, I was actually just reflecting on
So
how.
so I found the run up of what he had to face in his first round. He lost the 4-color reanimator, and then he went on a run. 1, 2, 3, 4. He did a 4-0 and then lost again because he went X and 3
yeah,
on for day 1, and then he went 6-0 on day 2.
exactly. That was the craziest thing, was like he lived the dream of 6-0 in day 2.
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
lost
really nice
his
kid.
last round. So he could have been, there was a chance he could have been 7-2 going into day 2, but he lost to Simic aggro. So the crazy thing though is he won against Jeskai Cauldron 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He won against Cauldron 6 times and he lost in the top 8. So yeah, he lost the Cauldron twice. But he did beat a Jeskai Control. He had to play against a Grixis mid range. He had to get against Gar. I think the craziest one was the what is it?
The black green deck,
Yeah, he had to face a black green deck in round 11.
weird deck, but it did well.
Yeah, exactly. But like other than that, he was like against Cauldron, mono red aggro, and then like 4 unknown decks.
Great, nice. Lots of science that we get, and also Smitty brought up how terrific Bryn has been, not just with research. I want to point out, I was kind of tracing it back, and it's just kind of impossible to imagine that things would have happened the way that they'd happened without Bryn. Really, not just in the last few months, but there's a way that Bryn has particularly been on a tear for about 2 years in really like trying to follow David in my projects like as close to the seam as he possibly could. And it's something that he really got together with Lawrence and they really kind of reverberated on, kind of resonated on so strongly. And so it's just so powerful and core to what's happened from there. That's what led to me connecting Michael with Bryn today. And then I was, of course, going to introduce him to Lawrence and then others as time went on. But anyways, so great tech there. Lots of just tremendous rundowns. What I'm going to do is I'm going to so that I'll consider the tournament reports to be concluded for now. I do have a deck from Doug from last week that I want to share that I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Yeah, I am going to be able to. So I'm going to pull this up really quickly just as we round out the tournament reports with the Annihilation reports. I got one in from one of our wonderful members, Doug. He's somebody who I met at the Orlando event, and then he has been following the show ever since. So let me go to the webcams here so I can kind of see this a little bit better and pop this out. So this is the deck list that he sent over. He got his buddy to play this deck, and his buddy did make day 2. I don't know how far into day 2 he got, but this is a Gearhulk deck, which of course Dan absolutely loves Gearhulk decks. So I'll fan past the cards here. Really cool with the 3 Elspeths. And then he's got that star call. I think that's the Wrath that pulls things out of the graveyard. And then he also gave me his sideboard here. So I didn't have the time to build and test this deck this week because we had so much going on. But this is obviously going to be a really good deck when Temple Garden gets printed in January, if it's already good enough to make day 2. Really appreciate Doug writing with that deck. He wrote it during the tournament. So that was really, really cool to see. And I was happy to share it now for the first time. Okay, so I'm going to go here to our decks, and I am going to pull up some science I have to supply. So this is the main thing I want to talk to you guys about. I found this by playing Merfolk Bzka. So this is Merfolk Bzka. I don't want to leave this behind because this is a seriously good deck. It's very powerful. I'm just not going to spend much time talking about it. You know, when you have the Merfolk, you know, this mechanic is really powerful with the Mind Spring. The Send Out Scout is very, very close to the power of the Siren. So it's really easy to have a lot of Merfolk. Since we love Tie Binders so much, since we love Drowner so much, it's easy to have a lot of Merfolk that are really, really good. Obviously, that works really well with Jackal and Drunith, with Drunith/Jackal. Of course, Deep Root Pilgrimage and so on. And then you can sideboard Leviathans, which can be really cool. But I'm not going to spend any more time on that. It helped me figure this deck out though. So between talking to David Mills, playing the Merfolk deck, thinking about some things that Smitty had said, thinking about some of the things that you guys said, plus I played the Merfolk deck again. And then I played this deck against a blue-black deck, and notice how similar we were to blue-black, where we could just play a ninja ourselves. So I haven't actually played a ninja yet. I just put one in for the first time today. But I did take this deck from 89% to 96% with only one loss today since I figured it out. And it's really violent, really good deck. I really had Theory and Smitty both in mind kind of when I built it from different angles. So I had tried to build black into, all right, so first of all, the thing that David said, so when I was telling David, when I was trying to explain to him about Drunith and Jackal, which is the same card, and I also explained to him about Mr. Green because they're kind of intrinsically tied. They work so well together because obviously Roy, Mr. Green, Mr. Roy is so, you know, the more guys you have, the better he is. You know, more guys can play. So I was saying to David that we were just running around, and I was forcing. This is a deck that I brought up to David. I said that I'm taking, like, for example, like a mono white deck, and forcing blue and green into it just for. In this case, I didn't put Mr. Green. I could have put Mr. Green in this deck, and I might, by the way. You know, it's theoretically possible. Probably not, but anyways. Where it's one of these life gain decks with all the fast creatures that create life really quickly, and then they have these guys that get abusive with life gain, they get bigger and bigger. Well, Drunith is going to be really, really good in this deck once we have Temple Garden and Hollow Fountain. We'll really be able to cast them. And I was pointing out to David, I'm splashing a blue-green card in a mono-white deck. And if you guys have seen from previous shows, I did that same thing with mono-red, splashed it in mono-red, and put blue-green in just for mono-red, and it's effective, right? I'm not saying it's the best deck, but it's surprisingly effective. And I said, I don't remember a time when we've done that, and David reminded me of a time when we did that. So he reminded me of Frenetic Freak, and that's why I pasted that video into the group chat of David playing, again, I should playing, beating John Finkel.
Never heard of him.
That's right. So this is the card that David reminded me of, which is Frenetic Freak. And we really have used this card. I learned this card from Darwin Castle and Dave Humphrey, who are guys that I used to network with and work with. And so when we were testing for, and they wound up playing Frenetic Freak. I mean, so it's their good stuff. I almost lost to this in the top 8 at Pro Tour Paris. I mean, I went 3-0. Boy, he could have beaten Darwin, could have beaten me. Anyway, it's a really, really cool card that we picked up on from Darwin. And then I saw Janusz Kuhn, who's a German guy, playing a blue, white, red deck. There was like a counterpost deck. There was this card called Keldon Outpost, Jordan Outpost, Dude Ranch. And it was a land that could make 1/1 creatures very quickly and very easily. Like I'm starting on turn 3, you can start making dudes every turn. And it could be really abusive. And people would typically play that in a counterspell deck. So they'd have counters and they would just make a land or a dude every turn and beat people to death with the dudes. So I saw Frenetic Freak in Kuhn's deck at Worlds, and I heard that he'd also played it in Extended. I saw it in Standard, and I was like, man, that's pretty cool. Anyways, we wound up putting Frenetic Freak in all kinds of decks, and David reminded me of that, and it helped me see kind of, like it also helped me kind of remind me of this. It's such a good strategy to be able to like follow a good strategy. Like if you don't know like what you're doing or why you're doing it, like life is just so much harder. And so we have these guideposts to what we do and why we do them, and it just helps us be better at Magic. It's so much better at Magic. And so we would put this, and we actually, because of that, at Pro Tour Chicago, that link that I shared with you guys, I'll put the link in the replay of this video of David beating John. That's how David became #1 in the world in pro points. At that time, I was #2 in the world because I had taken 9th at that turn and David took 2nd. And it was with a frenetic counterpost deck that we played. But the crazy thing is, Kyle Rose also made top 8. Justin Schneider made top 8 also with our blue red. We so dominated the tournament. It's the craziest thing. 3 of us played this frenetic counterpost deck and made top 8, top 9 with it. And then Kyle played a version of it that was more like an aggro deck. He just didn't want to play counters. He just wanted to play more lightning bolts, like incinerates and stuff like that. And so he just played like a more aggro version of it, and he made top 8 too. So it was just phenomenal what that card could do, what Frenetic Freak could do. By the way, part of what David did was just take the time to learn the actual math on Frenetic Freak. And that's one of the reasons why I spend so much time on Drunith and Jackal, is to really understand the real math of it. Because it's not just an extra card that you're getting, that card is going in play. And oftentimes, like when you're double casting a lifelink bat and just taking 2 cards out of your opponent's hand, it's wild. I mean, it's crazy to do that to somebody. Or double stunning them or whatever. You know, we'll talk about that in a second. So anyway, David reminded me of that, and that really helped me kind of see along with what we were doing in our play testing. And so, yeah. So I was able to, through a few iterations, you know, we have all these good inputs. I came up with this. I tried something like this before with the Cecil, which I think Cecil is crazy. And you guys saw, I sent you a screen capture of 2 Cecils transformed in play. It was crazy to do that to somebody. And by the way, it happens very fast, right? When you double cast a Cecil and both Cecils are attacking, they both transform a heck of a lot faster, right? Because your life drops faster and then it goes right back up faster. So I had a version that had the deep root bats, and then I just didn't have the Tiebinder in that version. And I love Tiebinder, and I really saw from the Merfolk deck, it's like Tiebinder, it's like your mana link, it's like your counter spell. Like this deck doesn't really have counters, but the Tiebinder gives it that feel of having counters, like almost more than having counters does. And then now the disruption that you're getting from the bats, and of course the creature removal. We learned about this with the Flood Pits Drowner, and again, all of that data comes from theory. Taking this one card and maxing it out, getting all the way to 13th place on Arena, really abusing this combo of Drunith and, for example, casting 2 Browners and just, his opponent is just completely screwed at that point. He had other cards that we can consider the Baloth and so forth. So I put this deck together and I have just been thrashing people. This time around, I think I just leaned less on the black, although I did realize at the end I definitely want to have at least one ninja. So he's the only non-creature in the deck right now. Maybe 1, 2. Haven't gotten to test him. Haven't gotten to test much about the sideboard yet. But I put this together and it's just hysterical. I mean, it's so abusive. Double Cecil is so abusive, and double Bat is so abusive. And by the way, that was one of the things that led me back to this deck, was that Smitty was very interested in that combo when I brought it up. So that's a deck I want to present you. I also presented you the Life Gain deck. Brendan and I got the chance to test the Life Gain deck that splashes Drunith and Jackal, because Brim was a good sport and tested me. I want to thank you guys also. I asked you guys to do more testing, and you guys really did, and it made a really big difference. So anyways, I presented that. I'm very, very proud and happy with what I presented you. We've actually got a special guest on right now who's now a member of our group. So not just a special guest, but now a member of the team. So I want to welcome Michael Spears. Welcome, Michael. Glad to have you here. Those of you that know OMG have definitely heard of Michael, have maybe seen Michael in a video with me and Ty Lopez. He was helped introduce me in Thailand at Affiliate World, which is a big giant stage and all kinds of cool stuff like that. Michael has a distinction. One of the people I really wanted to have in this group, Michael has had, great to see Michael right there. Michael has had, he came out and visited me for about a week, and I did introduce him to Magic at the end of it. So he's going to meet with Bryn and do more learning on Magic. He has the first couple of Magic cards, first couple of in real life cards. I gave him Mr. Green, and I gave him a rabbit to remind him of things. But Michael has a distinction, and I don't know of anybody else like this, who everything that we taught in OMG as a major arc, Michael has done and has built at least a 6-figure project out of it. So that's affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is the first thing that he did. He built a Garcinia Cambodia affiliate site and sent backlinks to it, and then eventually he was able to sell that site, but it made 6 figures, and then he was able to sell it for 6 figures. And then he built an Amazon, kind of a kitchenware site. He had a really cool kind of samurai blade kitchen knives that he sold, and then he was able to sell a bunch of those and then make a 6-figure exit on that. And then he went into e-commerce, and of course we talked about CBD and THCA and what can all be done. Michael was one of the earliest first people in on that, built a CBD site successfully with another OMGer, and was just terrifically successful with that with Gary Johnson. And they were an awesome team up on that site. So they were very, very successful. And then Michael built an agency for himself as well, and was very successful on an agency level. So he's done all the different aspects and things that were both a part of OMG throughout the years, but that will be very much a part of OMG 2026. And of course, Michael is totally a gamer at heart. He's a huge fan of World of Warcraft, and he was talking to me. We got to talk quite a bit about WoW this weekend. David and I undoubtedly have the #1 and 2 most powerful and most wealthy accounts in Dungeons and Dragons Online, right as we were finishing up Bring the Fresh and before we started OMG. And so I played some online multiplayer games where you team up with a team and can cooperate against very difficult AI that's built to be very, very challenging and keep the game going. And you really, the only way to do it is through some pretty great teamwork and to have a great guild and all that kind of stuff. So Michael's been doing that for probably over 10 years now, Michael. You've been playing World of Warcraft. And so Michael thought it might be something great for our community to also have that as one of the available branches that we did. I figured that would be very nice for people. I even looked at getting, polishing off my, or reopening my Dungeons and Dragons online account. I haven't done that yet. I haven't figured out the tech of it yet, but I'm still planning on doing that to get maybe more of a bit of a sandbox environment for us, because I don't think they make much new content for it, but it could be a good sandbox environment for you guys, for me to teach you guys some pretty great stuff in and to have a good experience. But WoW is not a sandbox. WoW is something that is very real. It still has, Michael, I think something along the lines of 8 million players playing it online. Michael has played it for a long time. He has a great personality for this kind of thing. He plays kind of a healing type character who's very strong in that way, and he's played on with some very strong groups and worked with some teams that have taken down some hard objectives with that. So I wanted to have Michael on just for this session, just for him to talk a little bit about World of Warcraft, how it kind of works, the different, just a little bit about the different kinds of characters that people might want to try out and so forth. And then Bryn is going to be meeting with Michael very soon in the next day or so, anytime to just get together a little bit and for Bryn to get oriented. Bryn has already done some MMO playing, so I think he'll be somebody that will understand the nomenclature and understand things very quickly as well. And I thought it would help a little bit if they started together and then I jumped in with them after that. And so anybody who wants to kind of jump in at that level can, but I already have a paid WoW account and so forth, and planning on doing some stuff. Also remember, with Magic, we're just going to constantly have lulls. Like we have a little bit of a lull right now between, of course, when November 1st clicks over, and we'll probably all make a little bit of a run and see what we've got, get high in the rankings, and maybe some of you guys want to make a shot for top 250 at the end of the month. If so, I'm definitely giving you a great deck that might help you with that. But outside of that, there's going to be some lulls. Then November 10th, once that changes, November 10th, of course, we're going to have a huge explosion of activity when we get the ban list. But after we get the ban list, I mean, I'm already testing decks for January, right? Like that's what I was showing you with January decks. I have another January deck. I can show you guys the January version of Bunny and Bzka, the Raven version of these various Drennan / Jackal, Mr. Green / Mr. Roy decks. But anyways, we're gonna have lulls, okay? There'll be an explosion of activity when the ban list happens, but about a week after that, we're gonna know a lot of the format. 2 weeks after that, we're gonna really know a lot of the format. And there may not be as much energy into it until January. There'll be some, right, for Christmas and so forth, there'll be some. But there are times, and then there's times when Michael wants to throw his computer out the window and he in theory get together and they want to beat up the guys that are abusing them behind the scenes at Arena. By the way, guys, I agree with you. I watched the NBA scandal that's going on right now. It's heartbreaking. People act like it's no big deal. I think it's huge. Whatever scandals are probably going on behind the scenes with the NFL, with refs and stuff like that. There's a lot of suspicions with that, and it tarnishes their brands. And they don't realize, right? Well, David and I are going to really teach everybody about brands. So we're going to teach by our actions. You'll be seeing that not just with OMG 2026, but with the opening of our game store and what we're going to be doing here in Orlando. That's going to be extremely exciting. So that was a bunch of context to lead you into who Michael is. I spent a whole week with Michael last week. We had a great time together. Even went to the park together, and it was an excellent time. We played some Magic together as well, and we talked a lot about WoW, to where I actually have a registered account. So Michael's going to go over just some of his ideas to tell you and get you a little bit oriented about how WoW works currently, what's going on with it, what he's currently playing. And it actually is helpful to know about what he's playing because he's the most powerful of all of us by far. So whatever we're doing, he's just kind of this powerful guy, and we're kind of these weak nincompoops currently. But we will not be weak nincompoops for long. We'll probably have ourselves a nice little guild at some point, or find somebody who wants to have some nice, pretty great guys, and find a good guild and get attached to them once we're strong, and so on. So it'll be, we're kind of starting something a little bit here. Michael, happy to have you on. Michael is coming to us from Mexico, Mexico City, where he's been traveling. He headed on from Orlando, where he was hanging out with me. Went out to Universal with me and looked at, by the way, Michael, a lot of that big cartoon artwork, very cool. The Harry Potter stuff, very cool. We want to get as much of those elements into the game store as we can, and build it out and grow and make it a really magical world. But to have a magical world, you have to have magical games to really make it fun. And you have been loving the magical World of Warcraft for years. Tell us about the current state of the game. Tell us about your character and some of the characters that some of the people in front of you, your new teammates, might build.
Hey guys, well, I always get embarrassed a bit when Mike does these intros, but nice to meet you all. So I'm trying to think. I've never really explained WoW to people from scratch, so I'm not totally sure how I should sort of talk about it.
You can assume that they kind of know that it's an what an MMO is. It's a game where you play like a guy, like in Dungeons and Dragons, you're a wizard or a healer or a great warrior or something like that. So you can get pretty technical, Michael, and get into, because people will be watching this on the replay and stuff like that. So imagine that we're kind of that we all know what MMOs are. We probably played games like Baldur's Gate or something like it that has similarities, and that we just haven't played this particular one.
Cool. Well, thanks for letting me invade the magic space for a minute. So I suppose the gist of it is, yeah, it's an MMO. I can't even remember how many different classes there are now, maybe 12 or 13, I think they've added. And basically, it's a huge world that they keep adding to. So that it sort of started with 13
classes each have like along the lines of 2 or more subclasses.
Yeah,
really
correct. They usually have
so if you're
3,
a druid,
yeah.
you could be a battle druid or you could be a healing druid. So altogether, you're probably looking at around 30 different.
Yeah, correct. It's at least 30,
but they're
maybe
roughly
40 specs.
like melee types, maybe ranged damage guys, kind of wizard / spellcasters, which are also kind of ranged damage guys, and then healers. Is that
so generally it's like you've got the holy trinity of roles. You've got tanking, healing, DPS. And then if it's are you the guy, I'm sure you guys know, but are you taking the damage and having all the mobs on you? Are you healing everyone, or are you, dealing damage to everyone? And if you're DPS, it's going to be, are you ranged or melee generally? And so
and DPS stands for damage per second. So that means who is the most efficient, who's going to cause the most damage over time. That might be, there's certain spells like in Dungeons & Dragons Online that might only do a little bit of damage the first few seconds of it, but by 60 seconds in, they're causing massive amounts of damage every second, and so on, and they build up. But one way or the other, that you're dealing damage. So the idea is that some giant monster or giant mobs are kind of getting funneled into a tank. That tank is somewhat backstopping or absorbing, so your weaker characters are not getting attacked by Grungar the mighty, giant or whatever. And then someone's kind of tending to keeping that guy alive, which is you, and tending to keeping people alive when they slip through the cracks. And then everyone else is sort of there to, actually kill the creatures.
Yeah, that's basically it. And yeah, with damage dealers, DPS, you can be melee, and it could be whatever, a warrior with with a big sword or a big axe or whatever, or you could be, I suppose, something totally different, like there's a demon hunter where you've got a sort of big scythe and you're doing stuff with sort of fell energy and stuff. So some of it's sort of combinations of, you're doing spells or just kind of, physical attacks and things. And then, you've got all sorts of different spellcasters, mages, warlocks, and all sorts of things.
So Bryn, for example, might play a tank. Let's imagine that Bryn was going to build a tank. So let's think about what options Bryn might go for building a tank.
Sure. Well, I mean, if he wanted to do a tank, I mean, there's as I guess I was saying to you, Mike, to me, I feel like how you choose a character should be just on what you like the most, because it's generally going to be, most of them are going to be quite equal. I mean, I can't totally tell in Magic. It sounds like, you know, one deck might be wildly better and or totally terrible versus another one or something. But I think they've generally, like, you know, maybe it's within 5 or 10% or something of each class or spec. You're not going to do absolutely atrociously. It's more about kind of skill. But if you, and I'm assuming you're saying that, Mike, because if so, there's obviously different types of content. There's the open world where you're doing quests and leveling up, and then there's dungeons, which are generally groups of 5 people. Sorry, I'm off the camera there. Groups of 5 people, and you would have 1 tank, 1 healer, and 3 DPS. So I kind of imagined that you were saying that.
Yeah, I'm trying to build easy groups for them.
Exactly.
And Bryn's the type of person who might just readily follow that role early, and then he might branch out from there. But it's the type of thing that Bryn would probably be able to readily do. I'm not saying that he has the perfect qualities of a tank. Smitty, for example, has the perfect qualities of a tank, just emotionally. I played paintball with him, and you can't outrun. You absolutely can't outrun Smitty. People can be shooting at him; it just doesn't matter. He might get shot, but he won't get back. But with Bryn, for this particular activity, it'll be kind of good to have him start as a tank, and then we'll just find out if that's his personality and kind of go from there. So what are some of the options that are good for a tank?
And in terms of classes, I imagine you're asking. So I mean, you've got quite a lot, but it's obviously I just recommend if you do want to play any afterwards, and of course we can chat after this. But there's, for instance, just warrior, just a sort of, you know, just traditional guy with a big shield. You could be a paladin where you've got, you know, holy spells as well and sort of big hammer or something. You've got Death Knight, and that's sort of more, you know, like blood magic and like raising undead and stuff to help, and he like almost vampirically healing you from, you know, the sort of the mobs. What have got Demon Hunter as well. Got Demon Hunter as well, the sort of one I said with the fell stuff. Got a monk actually, and loads more. A few more.
So let's have Bryn go for a comment for now and just see how that goes. Does that work for you, Bryn?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, great. And then why don't you give us some ideas? Why don't you tell us about your character and how he works, and then some other ways of being healers? Maybe one other example.
And I suppose to clarify, like most people would play, so a class has, normally 3 specs. And so it might, some classes might, all 3 specs might just be the damage roll, and some classes have either, you know, some damage, some tank, or some healing, some combination. So I play my main character as a druid, and in that one it actually has 4 specs, which is the only class that has 4 specs. And so it's generally that. So the extra thing I didn't mention is there's above dungeons, there's raids. So raids are when you have 10 to 40 people all attacking like much more difficult bosses and stuff that might take 5 or even 10 minutes to kill that one boss, and when you've got loads of different tactics and loads of different things you need to do and coordinate. And there might be like 10 bosses in one raid, for instance. So in the past, when I was, you know, really kind of, you know, addicted to WoW and playing loads and loads and loads, I would be doing healing as my sort of main role, and, you know, keeping everyone alive as one of the healers. But you know, you can also play DPS or whatever. So it's kind of like when I'm doing more casual things, and even now as I play semi-casually, you know, in raids or sort of, you know, lower level raids, I'll just do DPS.
So you'll just do damage. So you have a character who kind of has 2 aspects that you can choose from, and
it's like you can. Yeah, you can freely swap. In the past, it was a lot more difficult, but as time has gone on, they've sort of added a lot more kind of quality of life changes to WoW. to where it's not kind of costly or difficult to sort of change things around. It used to be like, you know, for instance, again, I don't really know how it works in Magic, but I'm sure you'd understand the reference of like there's maybe talent trees, you know, there's like different.
Yeah, no, I understand. Like, what's the cost of respecting the character?
Yeah, and it used to be hard. Now it's free and easy, basically. So,
right. So one of the things that you'll be able to do is Bryn, as a paladin, you know, he'll have a version that's kind of a tanky paladin, and then there'll be a version of it that's going to be more of a DPS paladin. And of course, there'll be some time when somebody else wants to play tank, you'll be like, fine, I'll play my DPS version. So on. Okay, why don't we wrap things up by talking about some of the different fun DPS things that Theory or Lawrence or Michael or Gary or Smitty probably won't wind up diving in for now, but he might at some point in the future. So why don't you give some ideas of some of the fun DPS ideas that are out there for different characters?
Yeah, sure. So I suppose DPS. So let's take the Paladin. So with Paladin, you've got, it's actually another class that has actually all three roles. You can do tanking, DPS, or healing. So the DPS is there's like a name for every spec. So you've got Retribution Paladin. And, you know, like you've got these sort of holy hammers, you know, like, and swords kind of like descending on your enemies and this kind of stuff. Or you could be, what's one I haven't mentioned? I suppose a hunter. If you want to be ranged, you've got, you know, lots of different play styles, and you can have a pet that, you know, you like go out in the world and like tame an animal, you know, any sort of different type of animal that you can like set on the enemy, and, you know, while you're just like slinging the arrows or shooting some gun at them. I suppose you have a mage that maybe Mike is potentially interested in. And in that one, you've got, again, 3 different types of damage mage. It could be arcane, fire, or frost. And again, they also have different things. You're kind of like rewinding time and you know, doing all sorts of, or like, you know, flinging huge fireballs at them, and loads of others I could go through.
Really cool. Really cool. Okay, well, that was an awesome sneak peek. Again, Bryn's going to be meeting out with Michael. Anybody who has time to join in on that small group, feel free. And then I'm going to be diving in as the week progresses and as next week progresses. And we'll see if we can have Michael back and do a little bit of an update. Also, there's one more game going to be coming up with a major update. So I am super excited about this. I don't know if there's a game that me and David Mills have played more than Grim Dawn. We have played the shit out of Grim Dawn. It is a fucking crazy good game. And they're releasing a massive, massive new content swing. I think it will probably be more towards, my guess, the end of 2026 or 2027. But there's so much content that none of you guys have ever seen. And it's just this expansive world. It doesn't really lend itself that much to team play that I've seen. I tried to play some with my godson Chance, and that's been a good experience. But anyways, you know, there's some games I want you guys to have. We'll continue to have. I think Magic for a long time, maybe forever, will continue to be kind of a backbone game for us. You know, they'll be a part of what we do. But I do want to have other games be a part of what we're doing and be alive with things. Smitty, I was really thinking about your growth the other day, and you were so close to me and David during the formation of the store and beforehand, and very, very much intrinsically involved in the moves that we were making. You yourself did, no doubt, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of transactions on behalf of the store, both in Magic and in Pokemon. Flew to Japan, you did all this stuff. But I think that there was something about doing the PUA stuff with me and Mystery, Spear, and stuff like that. Evil Dave, David Mills. I really think that took you to a next level, where you were seeing David's genius and stuff like that. You were seeing it from a very different perspective. You'd already been to the Magic world, seen us dominate Magic as card players and as business people, and built a great store, done all those things that we're going to repeat again. But then you saw us doing it, you know, in an electronic community, you know, which again, the Area 51 lifestyle community is very much a precursor to what we did with OMG, and we're going to have a relationship of nice aspects to what we're doing with the store and with OMG 2026 and with the future of what we're doing with David Mills with law implication. Smitty, what was it like encountering all this strategy stuff from a totally different world, because he wound up helping literally. I mean, there were times like by the end where Smitty was going out with Smear, and they were in Vegas filming people on hidden camera so they could see what their social actions and interactions actually look like. What do you actually look like when you walk up and say hi to a girl? And Smitty, you actually did that. There's something where your intellect at this point, to me, I just consider you to be a very, very powerful intellect. And you were always very promising when you were younger, but now, and I always felt like it was that you had done magic so well, especially the business and dealer side of it and coaching side of it, you've done it so well. But then I felt like when you got exposed to the relationship advice stuff, I think you really took off as a thinker and you know, kind of as a person in action. That's a little bit leading, but I still want to get your opinion on it. If Smitty's still on.
Yeah, sorry, I was away from the keyboard for a moment. Sorry, what were you saying? Just a quick recap.
Okay, great. So I was letting people know that you were there for the beginning of things at the game store, the beginning of our run with Magic. You saw David and I both before and after we became #1 in the world with Magic. Then we a store that took over the world. But I really felt like it was when we did the PUA stuff with Mystery and did the coaching with people with that, the email stuff with Area 51 Lifestyle, and then, you know, even you going out to Vegas with Spear, filming people in hidden camera. There was something about your intellect that really broke through. I think that with After Game, going through After Game the way that you did, that your mind really grew. Because there's something that I'm trying to accomplish here with Magic Secrets, with introducing people to different games and also to business. We're getting very close to the release of OMG 2026. So we're doing a couple of very different things at the same time. And instead of confusing things, I think it works very well together. But I wanted to know, what was your experience like encountering that whole PUA world, having already kind of conquered the card world and understanding that very well with me. But going into the PUA world, going into the relationship advice world, and what it did for your own personality and your own skills.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. So as we all know, David has influenced my life quite a bit with his philosophy. It's pretty incredible. I met him when I was like a 14, 15-year-old, like, and he was a recent grad from UVA, in like some, or maybe he didn't graduate. I don't even know if he graduated, but he was like, you know, he had this like scholarship that's impossible to get, yada yada. So with the so fast forward, what would it be like? About a decade and a half, where I'm leaving I'm leaving New Mexico, and I'm talking to Mike on like a Tuesday, and I'm like, I don't know what I should do. I might go to San Francisco and hang out with my buddy who'll let me stay there for free and sell some wine, or I might do this, I might do that. He's like, oh, I've got this opportunity in Vegas. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. He's like, yeah, but you got to be there by Saturday. So I packed up and moved literally from New Mexico to Las Vegas, from a Tuesday to a Saturday. Yeah. So, and I got there and I met Spear, who's quite the character. And I promptly got incredibly sick, like just like hate your life, like, I don't know, some kind of virus, like just sick as shit. But whatever, powered through eventually, and that experience was monumental. I can still tell you everything about all those guys. Like, so in that example, it's very interesting in that community, because we had literally the accountant from Seattle to the guy that looks like he could stand on the cover of GQ but is scared to death to talk to a woman, to the not particularly vertically inclined, very confident, cute guy, but not like a, fearless, completely fearless. The garrulous guy from Glenn from LA, who would talk to anybody about anything at any time. And they're all looking for this advice and this training, so to speak, on how to better improve their relationships. And it was wonderful. Sadly, Glenn, no, not Glenn. Shit, was it Glenn? Maybe. All right, the Seattle accountant. He just kept hitting on professionals, thinking they were not professionals.
Yeah, can't do that.
Glenn did very well. Eric was both the vertically not inclined guy, and Eric Kerr was the GQ looking dude. They did okay. But the moral of the story was, like, I'm walking around Vegas. I'm slightly nervous because I've got a camera in like a bag, and this was before Vegas. Vegas still isn't super film friendly, but they were very anti-film at the time. So basically, I had like a bag that I cut a hole in and put a camera in, and walking around filming these guys, and trying to Spears, of course, taking the lead on the coaching, but I'm interacting with these guys a lot too, especially the Erics, because they were very easy to talk to. I guess.
And again, it's that style that David Mills has, that over the shoulder, because we were really breaking ground. We're doing relationship advice, and we were recording people. Like, these guys had never seen themselves talking to somebody. They had no idea what they looked like before that, right? What was that experience like for them?
I got a lot of great feedback from Eric. Eric the Bold, we'll call him. We had Eric the Kerr, who was like the beautiful man, just like as pretty as a picture, and Eric the Bold, and Gil. Gil was the boisterous middle Los Angeles, like he was like a film producer or something. I don't remember exactly. He's buff. He's like decent looking. Just completely goofball. Like, would talk. So I got a lot of good feedback from them on their videos. Eric, the GQ, was very shy, and Glenn, the accountant, probably benefited a lot. But I think he was a little embarrassed because he kept running into the same problem, where these women would be happy to talk to him, but it was just because they wanted him to pay them for sex.
Well, and Smitty, just to give everybody their context, before this, Smitty and I have been going out like every night, all the time, and Smitty really, really knew his stuff at this point, up and down, left and right. And he'd been essentially coaching people by email for a while, and in person. Some people, he would help people out, but then, this is him actually going out and doing, live coaching in field. Like, this is maybe 2007. I say when this happened, maybe 2008. So it's a long time ago. I mean, YouTube is still very new. Smitty, that experience, though, years looking back on it, you're just so smart from it. You've learned so much about life, and been able to just really enjoy, so many advantages from that. Because David's just such a genius from so many different angles. And I just wanted to give you kind of the final word on that before we wrap up the show.
Yeah, I mean, that was, he's the smartest person I know by quite a bit. And it's interesting that he chooses to share that, because he could just be with Oya and his son, and just do his thing and be happy, and it's not that it invites conflict or anything, but it could potentially, like, by putting yourself out there, you're always inviting some type of scorn or conflict, or people that are jealous. they want to hurt you. And so like one thing
Yeah, when you ask ChatGPT about David's Magic career, it's just slander.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, like if we're talking about like the Magic stuff, that was just dumb.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, but your point is more well taken. David's somebody who had already been subjected to that slander and that ridicule for no reason, unfairly, then goes on and still decides to be incredibly gracious. I mean, guys, we would get emails from people. I would show them Smitty. They would say, "I was going to kill myself before what you guys are doing." You know, so it really mattered. You know, this wasn't like some small difference.
I mean, there's only a few examples in time where I would endorse someone killing themselves, and those are pretty obvious. So let's mostly not kill ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're writhing in pain with no hope of living, sure, go ahead, jump off a bridge. But other than that, like mostly
There's a lot out there. There's a lot of good times out there, right, Smitty?
Sir?
And we show we didn't get him off the ledge, guys, with boredom, with some boring conversation. We just we got him off the ledge with fun.
You mentioned that because I remember
We're not crazy. We're just fun.
Vividly remember. I want to tell this story real quick. I still vividly remember the sound of this guy's footsteps after I walked out of a hospital.
That's for another episode. That's for another episode. It is a good episode, but that's going to make me tear up. Okay, so Smitty, let's have that story another time. Guys, terrific episode today. I want to give big thank you to Michael and to Gary. I want to another big round of applause. They did such a great job at the event, and then they gave us that robust, thorough Annihilation report that we all really enjoyed. Thank you for Jason to helping to Smitty to helping prepare them so incredibly well, and also thank you to Michael for being such a good sport, jumping on with us today. I thought his explanations today were awesome and a real value to the Magic Secret Show. I think we'll all really appreciate it. I want to thank Bryn for being the kind of person that I knew I could put him together with Michael, and something good would happen, and we'll go from there. So great show this week. I showed off some new decks. Very looking forward to hearing what Theory especially has to say about Batman Bzka next week and everything else that is going on and things. Exciting time to be alive. Terrific show today. Great job, everybody. We will see you next week. See you guys next week.
Adios.
Later. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, bye. God bless you, brother.
Get well quick.
Yeah, get well real quick, Gary.